A new era at Sydney FC, a brand new stadium, and expectations will be high after missing out on the top six last season in the Isuzu UTE League. Rio Donovan, the question is, Steve Corica has been given the mandate to rebuild the side. How's he going to go?
Look, he's done everything in his power now. He's kept his job, and deservedly so. He's had a lot of success after Graham Arnold. He won comps and FA Cups and all that. But last year was terrible. You know, it was a really awful season for Sydney FC. And he's out with the old and in with the new. The age profile of a lot of his signings is guys in their peak. You're talking about Robert Mack from Ferencváros, Joe Lolly from Nottingham Forest, and Jack Rodwell from Western Sydney, 31 years old. He wants experience, but not too old, right? So I'm excited about Robert Mack as a signing. I think that's a very good move from Corica. Looking at his profile, looking at the way he plays, I think what he's trying to replicate is Adrian Murdziewski. That was here a few years ago. That's what they're hoping to ignite in the A-League. And he looks a real player. If he can get back to the form maybe of 3 or 4 years ago, top player in the hands. Joe Lolly, terrific one, just got promoted to the Premier League. And he said, right, I'm a good age, want to move my family. Australia, sunshine, Sydney FC, big club. Why not give it a go? And I love that they've gone all out to get him. And Jack Rodwell, a great signing for me. People kind of wrote him off at Wanderers because Wanderers were pretty average last year. But he's going to do so much donkey work in front of that back four, protect Alex Wilkinson, and give Luke Breton, kind of almost that permission to play your forward passes. You go, I'll protect back here. And ultimately, they need Adam Le Fondre to be like a new signing. They need to get him service. Okay, you can moan all you want. He didn't get enough service last year. You need to find a way to score goals. And he needs to hit the ground running this year. But overall, I think he's done some good signing. They got some good young players. Robbie, you touch on this. Alex Parsons, yep. Kucharski coming through. Segicic coming through from the under-23 team that played in the NPL. Yep. There's a lot to be hopeful for, to be quite honest.
Kucharski, who nipped you to the big prize in the NPL New South Wales as
Jerk.
well.
Yeah, I never liked him.
It's very generous of you to give him a name call out on this. But yeah, no, quality young footballer as well. An interesting one when you talk about the question in terms of Steve Corica, had such success as Roy just said. I reckon this is a real challenge for him and one that he will be looking forward to as well. I think we talk about the club the players looked a bit old, a little bit stale last year. For me, that was not necessarily Steve Corica was stale or whatever, but it was the same system that he'd inherited, that he'd been playing. Players need challenges, coaches need challenges as well. This is a revolution, changing the playing style. You can tweak little things and say, look, last year we played without the ball. This year, the challenge for me as coach and for the playing squad is to try and dominate possession or something. They've gone full scale. They've changed the way they're playing. They've brought in player-specific roles in these wide players, looking to change the formation to this 4-3-3. But I think Steve Corica will be excited by this challenge, and that's what he needs as much as the players as well. So if that can work, if he can turn this into something that gives him fulfills him and gives him satisfaction in his job, because I think that was also part of what just didn't work last year. The players, Bobo, Ninkovic, players that weren't producing what they had done traditionally. You mentioned Adam Le Fondre. I think he's such a fantastic goal scorer, and if the ammunition is there, I think he will. He can refine that scoring touch.
No doubt about it. You don't forget how to score goals.
Exactly.
He maybe lost confidence. He maybe lost trust in the system last year. There's no doubt.
They had a disastrous Champions League campaign as well. I mean, things just weren't happening. They need to forget that. That's why it's nice to think that they've changed everything up, brought in new faces, like you say, important new faces. Rodwell, great signing alongside Wilco at the back. They've also, you mentioned Luke Breton, that's like a new signing. Mm-hmm. Missed all of last season after he was injured against you guys in that opening cup game of the campaign. He's back, and that's important for them as well, even if Yazbek had a great year.
Huge for the A-League because he's one of the marquee players, Australia boys. He's one of the marquee players. The way he plays the game, it's a joy, the lovely ponytail going in the wind there at times as well. Fantastic. But so he's like a new signing. Yeah. Getting Le Fondre the ball with these two new wingers. Yep. Outstanding stuff. As you said, Corica, his senior players didn't do it from last year. When things aren't going well, you need your senior players. Okay, you're not going to win every game to carry you through, and it didn't happen. So he's changed everything. He's really
Yeah,
changed everything. Will they change their style of play this year? I don't think so. I just think he's gone with a younger age dynamic and a style of player that has got a hunger to prove that they can be not only an A-League champion, but a really top player for Sydney FC. And I'm excited from what I see on paper. In the off season, they were middle of the road. They beat Mariners in the Cup. And they went out against an NPL outfit. So it's not going to happen overnight. That's for sure for Sydney FC fans. But on paper, which it's worth nothing, they look good.
Not that particular paper.
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned the signings that are coming since expectations are high from the get-go. And something's happened in this that is very unusual in the world of football, that after a poor season, the coach has been backed. And I know he's earned that through what he's achieved, but it is still rare in the world of football that he's been backed. So what do we think the expectations are for Sydney FC, and what does Steve Corica have to do at the start to allay the pressure, given he's got the new deal after a poor season and has, as you said, signings in their peak?
It's a curious one, actually, because it's true. When you phrase it like that, it's a great honour to the Sydney FC board who have shown this faith and decided, look, instability is the cancer of every football club. As soon as something starts eating away at it, when you lose that stability, when the players start going, oh, coach is leaving, which we saw last year, board don't know what they're doing, fans are against us. When all of that starts seeping into inside a dressing room, that's when things can fall in a heap. By backing, and they backed him from midway through last season, that we knew that there was a new 2-year deal on the table for Steve, that he was going to be there, that he was going to have the means to rejuvenate this squad. I think that's a fantastic thing. Credit to Sydney FC as well. But with that, of course, comes expectation. But this is a club that made 3 grand finals in a row before last season. They know all about expectation. They know all about shouldering that and performing as well. So for me, it's normal. They're the most successful club in A-League history. They're, along with Melbourne Victory, the big clubs, the big ones in the A-League. They're used to that. Now they have to perform.
He's been under pressure since the day he got that job,
Exactly.
right? Since the day he started playing for Sydney FC, he's been under pressure. So that would be of no concern. The fact he's kept his job, terrific. Showed great strength of character, rare bit of loyalty shown in football these days, which is terrific. And he has earned that. But yeah, they'll be expected to challenge for trophies this year. No doubt about it.
And will they?
I think they've got enough. I think if they need to get confidence early, if football comes down to confidence really. If they can get a few results early doors, they'll kick on. If they go through the gears slowly, it could be a difficult season. But look, first step on the ladder is getting to the finals. I think they'll be a finals team, no doubt about it. Everything else is going to be gravy, really. Can they get the confidence? Can Adam Lafondra start scoring goals? And then they'll be challenging for that top 2 to win silverware this year.
Yeah, it's this mix of experience. We know that Wilco's still there. Ryan Grant's re-signed as well. Redmayne has re-signed. And then there's the youngsters, Kucharski, Segacic, who scored against Oakley in that quarter-final loss in the FA Cup. If that can come together, I think the new stadium will be a factor as well. They've been on the road. They've been a little bit nomadic, playing down at Cogra as well. So that is an important thing for the fans. We know that there's a lot of excitement around this team from the supporters who are looking forward to going back to their home. If that all takes, then they are easily, I'd say, a top 4 side.
Yeah.
Well, home is where it begins, and it doesn't get much bigger than a big blue at the new stadium, new Allianz Stadium, Nani making his Isuzu Ute A-League debut. We are all counting the days until that happens. It will be a blockbuster Saturday night to kick off the season. We'll get the first taste of Steve Corica's new side.